Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be working on the Citroen Dispatch today. Now, when I added it, had quite a few mechanical issues, which we're going to fix most of them in today's video. So, main problems were chronic oil leaks. Anywhere I parked it, it was leaving not just a drip, it was like 100 mil of oil. It was like quite a lot really. And it was leaking no matter what, even if the van wasn't running. So, today we're going to be fixing multiple oil leaks. So there's one on the top of the engine, one on the bottom where the sump's been whacked and it's dislodged some of the sealant, and we're also going to be fixing the auxiliary belt. So when we start the van up, it does a horrible screech and it keeps screeching for about 15 minutes before it stops. So we're going to be changing the auxiliary belt, degreasing everything and basically cleaning it up. So that's the plan for this video. Let's get all the dirty, horrible jobs out of the way, and then down the line then we can focus on the more fun jobs, which are like playing with all the fancy window cleaning kits. So let's get to it. In the last video I would have shown you all the problems wrong with the van. One of the problems is actually leaking oil. So if we look under here, we can see some oil drips on the floor. Now there might be more than one oil leak, but what I thought I would do was just go online and have a look at you know, what sort of things generally leak on these engines. And apparently a breather pipe on the rocker cover, they're quite prone to the O-ring failing. Now if we look under there, this connection here, it doesn't look very good, does it? And there's oil weeping out of it. There's oil all over here. It's then leaked down all over the gearbox. It's all on the floor. Okay, so this clamp wasn't tight, so might have been having a bit of a vacuum leak, although the van was driving fine. But if we pop this out, we can see that's less than healthy, isn't it, on there? It looks like it's had some silicone jammed in before, but probably not the correct type for the surfaces that it's trying to bond to, because it's broken down into jelly. So what we're going to do is going to take it off, clean it up, and then get that O-ring swapped out. Okay, so I've cleaned up all the silicone out of here and off this surface here, so it's nice and clean now with the O-rings going to go. And the suggested repair online is to swap out the O-ring, which is a 3mm thick O-ring, which is quite hard and brittle, for a 4mm one. Now I happen to have a very comprehensive O-ring set, so cleaned it all up with brake cleaner, get all the silicone blobs out so it doesn't affect the seal. And hopefully once we put this on now and put it back in, we won't get any more leaks. So the plan is, once it's all back together, full decontamination of the engine bay, and then if there's more leaks or this is still leaking, then we'll take it from there. So I just put that back in and it was quite promising. So I had to really give that some force to get it in. So obviously we're not going to be needing cable ties now to hold it all together. So that's good. Just got to tighten these clamps up now and then we're pretty much done. Okay, so that wasn't the only problem. There was the top oil leak where we just changed the O-ring, but there's another problem, the oil pan. So we degreased the whole engine bay. It allowed me to diagnose where the oil was coming from. So on the sump, there was bits of silicone dangling off. I think they'd used bathroom sealant to reseal it at some point, and it has not really adhered to the metal. So we're going to be taking it all off, cleaning it all up, using proper OEM grade Loctite silicone, which is quite expensive. I've had to order it in, but it's not a job I want to be doing twice because it's quite messy. Whilst I'm in there, we're changing the auxiliary belt, which is screeching like crazy, and we're also doing oil and a filter. So let's get to it. Okay, so here the van is, and if we have a look underneath, we can see I've degreased this whole engine bay, but it's remained relatively dry, so there doesn't seem to be any fresh leaks coming from there. But it's like actually damp on this lower seal, and all the silicone you know, look at this. So I feel like it's not had the right silicone used, or it's had a quick inspection and they've not siliconed it back on. So that's why we're going to be removing this now. So the first thing, obviously, I got to drain the sump, and then I'm going to take off this lower plate and maybe this upper unit, but that's a bigger job because I'm going to have to potentially remove the exhaust. But once I take this off, I'll be able to see what I'm working with. Oil's draining. And it was actually stuck on, but it looks like, if you see there, the sump's hit a speed bump or something. So it's not a massive dent, but there is a dent. So I reckon that could have been a contributing factor. And as you can see, the sump has become dislodged from, it's broken the seal basically. Now, on closer inspection, the upper bead all around, I'm all for doing things thoroughly and properly, but I feel like if I take it off, I might just disturb it when it's fine. There doesn't seem to be any actual leaks, so it is all from this lower sump. So I'm gonna have to inspect it, make sure it's not, you know, affecting the oil pickup. So I'll take it off now. Okay, so the good news, the oil pickup is not going to be affected by that small dent in the oil pan. So that's good. I've had a little oil spill here because there was actually about another litre of oil sat in that pan, even though we drained it. Pan's removed. I've cleaned up the mating surface. Obviously the oil keeps dripping back down, but what I'll do, I will give it a clean obviously before I put the pan back on. So the van side's ready. All I've got to do now is just clean up the oil pan mating surface. I'll have to flush it out just in case there's any bits in there, and then it's just a case of a nice bead of proper automotive sealant. Okay, so we're waiting on the fancy silicone, but this is all ready. I noticed it was a little deformed, so I dented it flat, so it's gonna mate nice with the block again. Whilst we're waiting for it to turn up, should be in the next half an hour, we're gonna be just changing out this belt down here. So as we saw, as I mentioned, I fixed the problem with it, but it is tired, so we're gonna just change it anyway. So yeah, let's do it. Got a nice Gates one, pretty much the best brand you can get, so hopefully we put this on now and we'll have no issues. Okay, so we got the new belt on, nice Gates belt. Turned it over with a ratchet by the crank pulley, so it's definitely seated nice. All we got to do now, it's the only thing we can do really whilst we wait for this silicone, is we can take off this and change the oil filter, so we'll do that next. So more oil leaks found. There's one on the oil filter. Basically the rubber seal is missing, so it's had an oil change in the past and I don't know how, but it's been misplaced. So we're going to change that seal now, stop the oil filter housing leaking, and then we're going to pop the new oil filter in. Just literally clicks in. Okay, so we're going to be putting on the silicone. We don't need massive amounts of it, so we're just going to okay, so a very messy day. 2 recycling bags of shop towels and toilet roll from all the oil that's coming out. But as you can see, the sump's on, it's now bolted in, resealed, new belt, new oil filter, got oil everywhere, decontaminated it, and look at the engine bay. It's looking absolutely spotless now. So what I'm going to do, clean under the van as best I can, then take it off axle stands, put the oil in, then we're going to move the van out, let it run for a bit, and then just basically re-clean the garage floor. So I'll catch up with you when there's oil in the van and it's running. Okay, so I've had a little clean up now, and the van's here.
I've cleaned up the headlights as well. I polished them up, so it's looking really smart now, the van. And obviously, as you saw, the engine bay is looking spotless. So it's becoming actually a nice little van. So what I'll do, I'll sit in the van. I've tested it. There's no leaks underneath now, so that's good. It's been sat there an hour or two. It would have leaked by now, quite a lot of oil, but there's nothing come out. So we'll go inside the van, I'll start it up, and we'll see if that auxiliary belt stops screeching as well. Okay, so before we go in, there is one more mechanical job. Say mechanical as in like jack the van up and take bits off. Apparently this thread in the hub is stripped, and that's why there's a missing wheel nut. So I found that out by reading through all of the receipts, and a garage had diagnosed it. So I might have to change that at some point. But yeah, for now, let's start it up, and hopefully that screeching stopped. Here we are, sweet as a nut. So give it a little rev. Here we are, sounds perfect, absolutely mint. So I hope you're enjoying the content. I know I'm not into the window cleaning system build yet, but I suppose it's worth me including all this, because this is the type of things where you're going to have to put up with if you're buying a used van. They have an hard life, vans, don't they? And I've bought two vans that are used in my life, this one and the Caddy, and they both needed a fair bit of attention at first to get some of the, you know, issues out of the way, because they just get worked, don't they? They get worked hard and they get minimal maintenance generally. So yeah, this is sort of the downsides of a used van, but the upsides are it's cheap, there's no payments, and once it's fixed, hopefully it'll keep going. So I'll leave it there. We're probably going to be doing a wheel bearing, wheel hub in the next video, because there's no good carrying all our weight with missing wheel nuts and stripped wheel nut threads. So I'll have to get that dealt with probably tomorrow, and then I'll probably start working on the door handles and the sliders then, because they're all mangled. Then bodywork, sign writing, and hopefully by then my window cleaning equipment's arrived, because I've got quite a lot of kit that I have ordered, which is made to order, so it's a month turnaround. So still talking to Streamline, some of their equipment, 2 months. They're having delays, so it is what it is. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.